Well, this is the second of a series of 4 videos that deal with the revision of Anton Chekhov's The Bear. In this video presentation, we discuss a few important paragraph questions. Question number 1. Sketch the character of Popo. Popo is a young and beautiful widow. She never enjoyed good relations with her husband, who used to betray her. Her husband was very unfaithful to her. Her husband died 7 months ago. Popo has been mourning for 7 months, 7 long months. It's a long time, especially for mourning, for lamentation, to remain sad over the death of her husband. She shuts herself up in her 4 walls. In mourning, she accuses her husband of being unfaithful and cruel. She says to Luka, "Let his ghost see how well I love him." Well, her holier-than-thou attitude is comic. She feels the holier-than-thou attitude. She feels that whatever he does, his behavior, her actions, her thinking, her speech, everything is morally better than others. I am better than you, holier than thou, holier than you. Holier than thou attitude is comic. Ill-mannered and rude, Mrs. Popo starts a verbal fight and even a duel, an actual fight with a stranger like Smirnov. She uses bad language and calls him bear and boor. She is confused when Smirnov proposes to her. No, she doesn't know what to do because Smirnov has started loving her, but decides favorably. She says yes when she learns about his strong financial position. Her false courage, challenge to fight, confession of ignorance of shooting, and lessons in firing that end up in petty love scenes, all these make up the right ingredients of a farcical character, a character, you know, uh, a character uh, for others to laugh at. People start laughing at her. That is character of Popo. Character of Smirnov. Grigory Stepanovich Smirnov, that's his full name. Mr. Smirnov is a landowner and a retired lieutenant of artillery. He is from the army. He is short-tempered, gets angry very quickly, ill-mannered, indecent, and rude. He keeps a very bad opinion about women. He considers women to be false and trivial. They are silly creatures, women. He says that a lady does not know anything about love and suffering. Ladies enjoy the impatience of their lovers and try to hook them by nose. Smirnov claims to have vast experience of love. He says 3 times he has fought duels. He had fights on account of ladies. He has refused 12 women. Well, 12 women wanted to love him, but he said no. 9 have rejected him. He wanted to love 9 ladies, but they said no. He tells Popo that there was a time when he used to love and suffer like a young boy. Well, he has had a lot of experience in this field. Now, he has taken a vow, he has taken a pledge not to love a lady anymore. But unfortunately, or fortunately, we don't know, he falls in love with Popo. So he's trapped in the snare of her dazzling looks because she is very, very beautiful. She's trapped in the beauty of this young widow. This is the character of Smirnov. Well, character Luka. Luka is Popo's servant, an elderly footman. A footman, is a liveried servant, a servant in uniform who takes care of the visitors and guests and also attends at the table. This, an important servant, the main servant. He speaks to his mistress, that is Mrs. Popo, in a familiar, fatherly way. Luca understands that Popo has mourned her husband's death long enough. She has been mourning for a long time, for 7 months. So he tells her, Luca tells Mrs. Popo about his own mourning after his wife's death. Luca advises Popo to visit the neighboring soldiers' camps and attend their weekly balls. After Smirnov's entry, after Smirnov comes here, Luka becomes increasingly fearful of the gentleman's shouting because Smirnov shouts a lot and he becomes afraid. Luka becomes afraid and insistence on being there until he gets money. He says if he doesn't get money, he wouldn't go away. In spite of that, Luka remains protective, very protective of Popo, and looks for additional help. When he sees that his mistress is in danger, well, he looks for additional help, leaving Smirnov and Popo by themselves. But Luka returns after some time with workmen, with the other people, with the other servants. He comes armed with the tools and weapons, but farcically, it makes people laugh. What they discover, Smirnov and Popo enjoying a hot kiss instead of fight. The theme of Anton Chekhov's one-act play, The Bear. What is the theme? That's a simple question. The theme of Anton Chekhov's one-act play, The Bear, is the romantic advancement, love-making, the love affair between Mrs. Popo and Mr. Smirnov. This is what we see at the end of the play. Wit and humor, it makes people laugh. Wit and humor is the soul of this farcical comedy. It's a comedy that is intended to make people laugh. The play unravels. The play opens up the hypocrisy of the Russian aristocracy. Popo and Smirnov are two ridiculous characters, characters whom others laugh at. Popo is a rich and proud, but fake widow. She is a sham. She is visited by a self-righteous neighboring landlord. Self-righteous. A self-righteous man believes that he is better than others, or whatever he does, he is right. A self-righteous neighboring landlord, a retired army officer, Smirnov, in connection with a loan taken by her late husband. Smirnov and Popo engage in a heated verbal exchange. They shout at each other, they're very angry at each other, and finally they agree to fight a duel. In the end, this ridiculous pair, these two people, are found engaged in lovemaking and going to be married. Both of them are hypocritical, they are hypocrites, pretentious, vainglorious, ill-mannered, and stupid. They think too much of themselves. They are never true to themselves. They never look natural. Hypocrites, pretentious, vainglorious. They think too much of themselves. They have an exaggerated idea of themselves, ill-mannered and stupid. What is the dramatic significance of Toby? Oh, that's a very interesting character, isn't it? Toby the Host. What is the significance of Toby? Because we know very frequently, Mrs. Popo asks her servants to feed, not to forget, to feed Toby. Give him enough, give him sufficient oats. Don't forget. But finally, when, well, just, the play ends, the last sentence is, you know, don't give him any oats, because her attachment, her faithfulness, her loyalty, the so-called loyalty that she wanted to pledge, that she wanted to show to her husband, is now gone. So this is the significance of Toby, the host, the favorite host of Mrs. Popo's husband. In Anton Chekhov's play, The Bear, Toby is a host. Toby symbolizes the only pleasant memories Mrs. Popo cherishes for Nikolai Mikhailovich, her dead husband, who was not a good husband to her. He was not a good husband. Nikolai was a wonderful horseman, a good horseman, but a bad husband, don't forget, and pulled at the reins of the horse with all his strength, with all his might. As a husband, he was terrible, abusive, and unfaithful. He betrayed her, quarreled with her, and left her alone for weeks. Popo asks Luka to give Toby an extra measure of oats. For what? Give him an extra measure of oats to maintain her fidelity, to show that he is faithful to her, this loyal husband, until her death. In this way, Popo is trying to prove herself worthy of his love even while he is dead. As she could not do it, well, she could not prove that she was faithful when he was alive. So this is the dramatic significance of Toby the Host. Another paragraph question is the theme of death and mourning. The theme of death and mourning. Well, this is the major theme, isn't it? But it is made fun of. It is not seriously dealt with, because death, well, we can see a dead man, that is Mrs. Popo's husband, who is dead, but he was as she says, he was a very, very bad man, and she mourns. But after Smirnov appears, well, her mourning disappears. She stops mourning. Well, the theme of death and mourning. In Chekhov's one-act play, The Bear, death, grief, and mourning, three related things, are pictured in a comic, light-hearted manner, so that it makes people laugh. Popo's husband has been dead for 7 months, but she treats the serious matter of death as something comic, for people to laugh. Luka tries to legitimize the fact that Popo's grief is silly. He tells her, this is silly, stop mourning. He chastises Popova. He chastises her. He scolds her for wasting her life. In response, Popo defends herself. She says, no, I am right. Don't interfere in my matters. She says that she has buried herself. She has buried herself between 4 walls. Luka explains that when his own wife died, he grieved, he mourned for her as well, but just a month. That was enough. Popo cannot be changed. She says, no, you can't change me. I will not stop. This is my decision. She decides to prove more faithful to her husband than he ever was to her. He was never faithful to her. But she wants to be faithful. She wants to prove that she is faithful. Finally, Smirnov's feelings for Popo change from anger into love. At first, Smirnov is very angry. He says, he's very stubborn, says, no, I should get the money. I won't go away. But gradually, that anger transforms itself into love. And Smirnov's kiss dissolves her grief. Popo's grief was already in question from the beginning. So from the very beginning of the play, We knew that it was something false, it was pretentious. So there is no problem when she exchanges her grief for Smirnov's embrace and kiss. And here is one more paragraph question, the theme of love and faithfulness, fidelity. Fidelity is faithfulness in marriage. Faithfulness in marriage. In Chekhov's one act play, The Bear, love is portrayed as something that Popo felt for her husband until her death, and fidelity as a duty. Popo loved her husband Nikolai even though he was unfaithful and cruel, but Popo vows, pledges to be faithful to him until her death. No, the rest of my life I am going to live like this in mourning, she says. For what? To show him how she loves. Smirnov talks about the women he loved, but he was deceived by the women. He asks Popo if she has ever known a woman who was sincere, faithful, and constant. In spite of Nikolai's deception and adultery, because he was after several women, Popo decides to remain faithful till the very end. Her faithfulness seems to be a revenge. We feel that it's a sort of revenge on Nikolai after his death. But at the end of the play, the revenge disappears as Popo begins to be moved by the warmth of Smirnov's feelings. She throws away her useless revenge. Thus, the final kiss and embrace becomes a gateway to a new relationship for Mrs. Popo. I think that's the end of this session on the paragraph questions.